Digital Romance TV.
Hey folks, how's it going? It's Michael Fiore from Digital Romance TV along with Nora.
Hi.
And we're answering questions because that's what we do.
We
answer
do it.
questions. We're answer people. That's what we do. Your questions. Go ahead, Nora.
Let's see. How to bring the passion back into the bedroom. What to do when you don't have a great don't have a great relationship, but no. I think this is supposed to say when you have a great relationship, but no bedroom
Everything
passion.
except for the sex is great.
Right.
Which is pretty common at that point. Though oftentimes everything but the sex is not great. And the sex
I would
isn't
say
great
if
as
it's
well.
the beginning of a relationship,
Yeah.
and this is the case, don't go further in the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, if you're within a year or two, and
I think, if you're in that beginning phase of a relationship,
Yep.
and you don't have the
spark.
what is it? The Sex and the City, the zazazoo.
Yeah, totally. Where you're just not where you're not like laying
They
there
don't-
afterwards, totally sweaty and just being
Or
"Oh, that was
like
amazing."
when you're in the same room with them, you don't just have this deep aching longing to be, closer to them
Yep.
physically. Just don't.
Yeah, because that compatibility is not going to come later.
Nope.
Basically.
That usually does not come about naturally.
In fact, it tends to decline unless you do the
Yes.
work to get it. Now, as far as actually getting it back, if you did have it, I wrote an entire program on this called Text the Romance Back back in the day, which you can check out at texttheromanceback.com, where you can get 3 magic texts that are totally free, and you can also hear about the paid program, which is much more in-depth. But to break down that into just a tiny little pieces, the things that really cause people to stop being attracted to each other, well, there's a couple of them. One is simply if somebody stops physically taking care of themselves.
Yep.
Right? So there's many cases where a man or a woman will stop taking care of themselves, and the other partner will say, I just don't find you physically attractive anymore, so I don't want to shtup you anymore. Yeah. And so step one can often be getting back into shape. Usually as a couple, say, hey, let's join the gym together, let's do yoga together, let's do whatever together.
Right.
The number 2 thing is that people fall into a trap of never getting appreciation in their relationships, physical or otherwise in that case. A lot of women feel taken advantage of because, hey, I'm doing all this crap with the kids, and what are you doing? And a lot of men feel disrespected because they're like, well, I'm doing as much as I can, and I never get any kind of stroking, and I mean stroking like emotionally, and I never get any kind of stroking and never get any kind of appreciation. And simply making a point of telling your partner 3 things that you appreciate about them, whatever it might be, every single day will have an astonishing effect on your entire relationship, not just that. And to help with the sex thing, you want to make some of that physical. You can actually say, your ass looks amazing in those jeans.
Sure.
And just bringing back the idea that you see, that you actually do, and this word gets a bad rap, objectify each other a little bit. You were going to say something.
I was just going to say, it's also a good idea at that point in your existence if you're not doing the compliment sandwich with those 3 things every day.
What do you mean by that?
So you're not like taking something that is driving you crazy and then sandwich it.
No.
With it.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that those 3 things that you're pointing out every day are actually just by themselves, standalone things that you appreciate.
Yeah, and it can just be something as simple as like, I feel so lucky to have a man who's such a great dad in my life, who's such a great dad to our children in my life. It makes you seem even sexier than you did before. Whatever it's going to be. Now, granted, that seems a little weird because there's sex and kids involved. We don't really want to go there. But either way, just giving a guy or a woman appreciation, telling her specifically what you find attractive, your eyes, whatever it's going to be. And I go into really deep detail on all of this in Text the Romance Back. And then I also give a lot of ideas on how to do narrations and the text massage and things like that. There's a lot to it, but it's really just about reminding your partner constantly that why you love them.
Sure.
Because couples do this all the time. Love you, honey.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah.
Well, why do you love them?
Yeah.
What do you love about them?
Yeah.
And
it means nothing after a while.
It means nothing.
My ex accidentally, like a year and a half after
said
we
love
had,
you?
said it at the end of a phone call, and I was just like, ugh. Like perfect example of how little it meant when we were in our relationship. When you just throw it out there all the time.
Just becomes a thing. Yeah. So that's the main thing. If you just appreciate and objectify your partner and make it a deal of it, make it like you're going to do this every day, at least 3 times. Text messaging is great for it because you're often not seeing each other during the day. Teasing each other can be great. And also learning your partner's love language. There's a book called The 5 Love Languages. It's a little religious in its overtones, but otherwise it's just good information about how people receive love, and that'll help a lot.
There's also a website, and you don't have to actually go through the
stuff.
whole book with all the religious overtones. You can just read about it.
But anyway, sex comes from great sex comes from being appreciated and objectified. I'm done. There you go. Right when Ben goes.
DigitalRomanceInc.com.
There you go.
Visit, read articles, listen to podcasts.
And appreciate your
More
partner.
videos.
Appreciate your partner. Bye.
If you've got a cell phone in your pocket or purse right now, then you've got everything you need to create incredible romance and passion with the man or woman in your life at the push of a button. Go to digitalromance.tv/TRB to see Michael Fiore make an entire audience of women on The Rachel Ray Show swoon and learn how to use tiny little text messages to have the relationship of your dreams.